Soweto this evening. Soweto is reeling this evening following a gruesome discovery. Body parts were found in a fridge at a residence earlier today. According to witnesses, the gruesome find was made by the suspect's partner. It's understood the suspect tried to commit suicide upon arrest. eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu is at the scene of the crime and he joins us now. Manqoba, earlier on I said that we can actually hear a little bit of singing there as community members seems to have gathered at the residence and at the crime scene. But before we go there, we understand that the now apprehended suspect was a tenant at the residence. Have we managed to locate the actual owners of this residence and actually maybe even speak to them?
Well, certainly, Faith, what we are able to tell you right now is that, as you can see, the community members have gathered here. Of course, this has been quite a shock to this community to hear of such a gruesome murder right in their back door. And many of the community members here outside are lighting candles, of course, not in support, but actually mourning the victim of this crime. It's not clear at this particular point as to who exactly the victim is, but what we are hearing perhaps from some of the neighbors is the suspicion, Faith, that this might have been somebody that was known to this particular victim, somebody who was very close to this victim, and some of them even alluding to the fact that this might have been his previous partner. But of course, all of this at this particular point has not been confirmed by police. But I just want to step out of shot, Faith, just to show you what's happening behind. The forensic pathology van has arrived here to collect the body. And in fact, I'm just going to ask some of the community members to step aside so that you can see what's happening there. That forensic pathology van here to collect those body parts that were found here. And of course, what you do understand at this particular point is that there were certain dismembered body parts that were found, which include a hand and portions of the leg. But as to the torso and the head of the victim, that at this particular point has not been confirmed. And earlier on, I did speak to a very close friend of this suspect who did tell me that he went to gym with this suspect. He knows this suspect. He was very close to this person. This was a very sweet person. Somebody who was very calm, somebody who would not go out a lot, and somebody who really liked going to the gym. And he says that, of course, when he questioned him about what had happened here, about this particular murder, what this man had said is that, of course, he did commit this particular crime, but as to the reasons why this was the case, I think those details will be known, Faith, as soon as that police investigation gets underway and as soon as we are able to establish the details surrounding this particular murder.
I understand that completely, Manqoba, but as we were also speaking a little bit earlier on regarding even with the eyewitness saying that the suspect stays in a back room, so that means that the house has got owners. As much as he's a tenant, they're owners of the house. Have we managed as yet to establish communication with the owners of the house? Do we know who the owners of that house are? Are they able to tell us any further information regarding their tenant at this point? Are they even around at this point and seeing what is happening around their house? Because we've got people that are around the house of potential house owners, and do those people know that this is currently happening in their property?
For afraid at this particular point, we have not been able to speak to the homeowner. Of course, we understand that at this particular stage, the police are still combing the scene. So the house owner as well is also being questioned by the police about this particular suspect and what it is that she knows about the suspect. But what we did manage to get earlier on is the fact that he was a tenant here, and the only tenant in this particular house. He was living at one of the back rooms here in this house here, but we have not been able to speak to the owner of the house. But I want to bring in the councillor. This is the councillor of the area. He has been here as well. Councillor, thank you for your time. Of course, as a community, you must be devastated. You must be traumatized. How are you feeling about what happened here?
We are very devastated, and unfortunately, of now late, as a new councillor, I'm new in the position, but I'm not new in the area. We have an incident where a lady was discovered, she was raped, killed, dumped in the grounds. We had an incident where a woman was killed with his 2 grandchildren, and it looks like this thing, it is continuing. And one of the things that one will have to establish as soon as possible, it is the street committees. Once we establish the street committees, we would know, once we have the street committees, that we know who stays in, who goes where, who does what. Because one of the problems that we have, Protea Glen is full of houses where people are not staying in. People buy houses and they rent them out. And once they rent them out, then we begin to have a problem. And when we contact the very same owners, they tell us that they don't want to be part and parcel as long as they get their money. So street committees are going to assist us in terms of screening people when they come in. We must know who comes in. We must know who stays here. Because once we know who stays here, such things can be avoided. We can't afford a situation where every 3 months we bury a woman because he was killed by a man, a partner, a husband. Such things, they must come to an end. But as we are saying, as the new administration of this world that is coming in, we want to build communities together with our people. The best way of doing that is when the community becomes involved. It's when we, as the council, we come up with programs which are going to be inclusive of our people so that we are able to deal with these issues. But also, what is more critical, we need to have civic education, because it is civic education that is going to transform our minds, and once our minds are transformed, our actions will be transformed. So we are devastated as a community. As for me, the first assignment as a councillor, you have to deal with parts, with body parts. That on its own is just devastating, because now I must know what's going to happen to the owner of the house. Will the owner get the counseling? The people who witness this thing, are they going to get counseling? Because these are the things that we need to make a follow-up on, so that we don't live with a society that is traumatized. They see such things and nobody makes a follow-up.
Okay. Let me speak to community members that are here. Siswam, I can see you're quite emotional about what's happening here.
No, it pains me as a community member. For one, I stay at Extension 28. I had to call a councillor and ask the councillor what's happening. Because last time I had a march that I arranged, Nabanbasema New Extension, people never pitched. We were like 10 people. And it was heartbreaking as a community, if you can't support one another. Yeah. Last night, about 2 a.m. actually, this morning, there was someone that was and that person, so I am asking the community guys, to avoid such things.
All right, okay. Puti, if I can just get you as well on what you're saying and how you're feeling as a community.
Because and then so Musadiaga unamfunela ra communicate. So not to go to his or but what I give a romantic gore batho shebella incident e tsagetseng e ba do crack canceling na ke one go to itse because kem sadiaga di neighbors so ba tlo but don't canceling now because the thing is serious blind. Okay. So ba same plan ya or ba canceling.
Okay. Thank you very much. Of course, one of the neighbors here is saying that they're quite concerned about whether or not the family members here, the homeowner and the lady or the alleged girlfriend that made this gruesome discovery are going to get any counseling, because surely this is quite shocking, is blood-curdling what happened here, that discovery that was made in this house. And the community members really quite shocked about what happened here, and they are here to see for themselves, Faith, because many of the community members that we spoke to earlier on are saying that they have heard this before. They've seen it from afar on television, they've read about it in the newspapers, and that's why it's so hard for them to stomach and to actually believe what has happened here at this particular house.
Manqoba, were you able to also get some community perspective around the suspect? I know earlier on you spoke to one of the residents who said that she'd interacted with the suspect, that the suspect had tried to approach her and made some inappropriate comments towards her at the time. And I think that incident happened about 2 days ago or so. So do we know as yet in terms of who the suspect is? What type of the person was the suspect? Was the suspect a danger in the community? And perhaps another piece of information, do we know whether or not the victim is male or female?
So perhaps, and get more information about this suspect. And so far, what we have learned from the neighbors and some of the neighbors that we spoke to, the lady that we spoke to earlier, saying that this was a guy that was really quiet, somebody who would only go to the shop to buy airtime. So they rarely saw this particular person. They're not quite sure where he worked. And this lady saying that this was, a person who'd normally ask young ladies here in the community, who ask them out, ask for their numbers, who compliment them, and even go as far as telling them that he wants to do certain things to their bodies. So this particular lady that we spoke to earlier on, saying that, that for her raised alarm bells as to what kind of a person is this. So she says that there were suspicions that, there might be more to this individual than meets the eye from some of the conversations that she's had with him, and certainly saying that 2 days ago she had an encounter with him where he had asked for her numbers, and she says that she chose not to give him the correct numbers, but a friend of hers had given this particular individual her correct numbers, and he was also making advances in as far as that is concerned. So quite a lot of issues that we're hearing from community members about who this individual was, but many of them quite shocked. They're saying that they didn't expect this gentleman to have committed such a crime in this community.
Manqoba Mchunu, we'll leave it there for now. It's a developing story this evening on South Africa Tonight, obviously in Soweto, as the residents are reeling and coming to terms with the body parts that have been found located in a residence in Soweto. As the story develops and as we get more information, we'll make sure that you're up to date with it. And still ahead for you.